Okay, I think it's the back end of their defense. Linebackers back. They don't have a lot of depth there. Their corners were showed up against the Colts. They didn't look much better this week. I mean, they're running through the secondary like there's nobody there. So until that changes, you know, and that guy is older than you that's running through there. Okay.
Well, he doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. At least
No,
I
he
helped
doesn't.
Tampa.
That's exactly right. But he's still fast, as Chris said. But they've got to shore up that secondary.
Yes, and I'm not worried about the quarterback there, Breeze, are you? No, we're not worried about him.
I'm not worried about
The only reason why I'm worried about him because the receivers are young. Patton's older, but he doesn't have much gas left in the tank.
Those receivers produced pretty well
But
for
they're
him
pretty
last
young.
year. Well, I don't know.
We see what happened when they got in the playoffs last year, Coach. When they got in the playoffs last year, they struggled a little bit against Chicago.
Yeah, well, that's a cold weather game. Okay, you didn't like that cold weather either, did you?
California.
West Coast guy. Had to put those mittens on. They had those buffs in there. 3 hand warmers in there.
I tell you, it's not like in life right now, and those are the football teams in New York. Both the Giants and the Jets are 0-2. Brett Favre, more wins than anybody else now after his win on Sunday against the New York football Giants, and he can float them like he does to Donald Lee, and then Favre, he's played all these games. He started 239 in a row. How about this gun? He still has this gun, fellas, right? And zing! Donald Driver. So Favre and the Packers with a huge second half as they whirl on, and they're 2-0. Meanwhile, in Baltimore, Brian Billick had to go with Kyle Bowler. Bowler actually played all right. Relief on the Monday night. He played all right to Todd Heap, the Storm and Mormon. He drags his feet for the 4-yard score. Originally ruled incomplete. Then they say, yeah, touchdown. They had a big lead. Kellen Clemens had to start for the Jets guys. And Justin McCarron's had a tough day. But Clemens looked at a strong fourth quarter. Do either of these New York teams, the Jets losing 20-13, so they lost to the Patriots, either of these New York teams have a chance to make something of the season?
The only chance I think is Tom Coughlin need to pack his bags and get out of town because the Sharks are starting to, you know.
Wait a minute. Pack his bags after 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let's flip this pancake over for a second, okay? Now, suppose you came out there and dropped 1 or 2 passes.
And they're going to run me out of town, too. I played in New York.
You want me to just yank you out of the game and put somebody in?
No,
or are you going to say, Coach, I'm going to stay out after practice, and we're going to get this thing squared away?
Unfortunately, the pressure is going to get to him. I played in New York. You coached in New York. And you know the Sharks are starting to start. And unfortunately for us, we're in the media now, so we have to do this.
How about the Jets? We think that they played 2 tough teams.
Man, Genie need to call Belichick and see if he can cheat a little bit because they're not doing a very good job.
I think they're staying with Pennington.
Well,
that was a good performance by Clemens, though. I didn't think he could do that going to Baltimore with their defense and the way they try to harass you. That was an impressive start for that young man.
They said he was.
They had a chance to win that game. They had a chance to Justin McCann drop those 2 balls at the end of the game.
There's another one of those receivers dropping the ball, letting the ball get behind him, get out of his vision line.
That's his
fault. You know that.
Once again, 3-1
Keyshawn. He couldn't catch that out cut to his right because the ball got out of his vision. Had to work on that every day.
Jets say Clemens was night and day from year 1 to year 2 this year in preseason. We saw what he could do in the fourth quarter, but you're right. Pennington's ready to go. They got to still go there. They got to. And they'll come out of their 0-2 funk. When we have Monday Night Football, the guy that we'll be looking at is number 5, Donovan McNabb. Leading the Eagles out. Smiles there, getting ready to play the Washington Redskins. Now we head back to the lake in Philly. And it's Stu's turn. Stu?
Boom, the Eagles are open. Donovan can get back to where he was last year when the season started. First 5 games, Kid averaged 320 yards passing a game, 11 touchdown passes, only 1 interception. But can he get back there tonight against a divisional opponent? Our guys in the Monday Night Football booth, they know the answers to everything.
Really? We do?
Yeah.
Where's Stu been? Has he not met all of us? Hi, Stu. Hi, folks. Good to have you with us here on this Monday night in Philadelphia. And let's talk about Jason Campbell, the other quarterback in tonight's game. When you talk about where he's from, it's Mississippi. Brett Favre and Steve McNair, we know they're from Mississippi. They've been around so long. Jason knew these guys when he was in high school, growing up, going to their football camps, or idolizing their presence in college and then the pros. But now here is Jason, about 45 minutes away from where McNair calls home in Baltimore, in Washington. Tony in one of those special seats inside the Beltway, quarterback, Washington Redskins.
Yeah, but nobody really knows much about him in Washington other than he's young, and if he becomes good, he joins Alexander Ovechkin of the Capitals and Gilbert Arenas of the Wizards as a young star in town. The Redskins aren't asking him to do much. Just hand the ball off and get out of the way. Throw maybe 20 passes a game so the defense knows you're alive, and don't screw things up. And this is pretty much, Jaws, what they asked Ben Roethlisberger to do a couple of years ago in Pittsburgh. The difference is, if you're a big star quarterback in Washington, and God knows they haven't had one in a long time, but if you are, you get to go to the White House and have dinner with the president. You never have to pick up a check in your life. Ask Sonny, ask Joe, it's a good life.
Hey, I have Gary Bettman on my cell phone. It's the first time Alexander Ovechkin's ever been mentioned on Monday Night Football.
Oh, big ups.
Big thrill for him. Yeah. Well, Jason Campbell is going to see pressure tonight because that's what the Eagles have always done. And Jim Johnson, their defensive coordinator, has made his great reputation in the league by bringing the heat, especially to a young QB.
It's about pressure, pressure, pressure for Jim Johnson. That's the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. He loves to get after a young quarterback. This is the type of quarterback that the Eagles defense takes advantage of. Last year when Jason Campbell started against the Eagles, he threw 1 touchdown pass and 2 interceptions. Jason Campbell does have a tendency to stare down a receiver. Against this Eagle defense, it's a ball-hawking Eagle defense. Brian Dawkins, Sean Constein, safeties that look back in the backfield. So I would agree with Tony. It's the kind of game where when you look at this offensive scheme, they must run the football effectively first, limit the number of throws from Jason Campbell, and when they want to throw it, get it to Randall L. 5 catches, 162 yards last week.
Yeah, Antoine was very good in their win. Both teams played tight, close, down to the last snap games last week. We can only ask for one more time here this week. Still, we'll see it for kickoff at the bottom of the hour.
Hey, Mike, a couple more hockey guys. There was a day when the NFC East was like Alexander Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby. Young and full of vigor from the 90 to 95 season, NFC East won 5 of 6 Super Bowls. You guys, you were stingy. You had 3 of them.
We were the beast of the East back then.
How good or bad is the NFC East right now?
Well, it's really not a great conference altogether because when you look at the AFC, they're much stronger than the NFC all around. But look at the Giants. They could be dead. The Eagles lost tonight, could be dead. The Cowboys look like they could be the beast of the East this year.
Well, it's a little bit early, Emma, to put everyone to bed. But I'll tell you what, this whole division is run by the quarterbacks, like most of the divisions. It's totally about Tony Romo right now dominating in Dallas. If that keeps up, they will run away with the East. But if you can get a reemergence from Donovan McNabb, or you get something from Eli Manning late here, or Jason Campbell even, all of a sudden it goes up for grabs. But right now, Tony Romo is running this division.
The only thing hurting the Cowboys is cornerbacks and barring some bad injuries.
So you're saying it's the quarterbacks, and you're saying the Cowboys are the beast of the East. Shocker there. Emmett used to love running against the NFC East. 50 career games against the Giants and Eagles. 24 100-yard games, including a career best 237. Hey, Emmett, you ran against Brian Dawkins. How intense is this guy? B-Dawk trying to fire up his guys before the game. A serious winner, Brian Dawkins. Still to come, I just told you he's relentless, just like a superhero. B-Dawk calls himself Weapon X, how one comic book character inspires him on the football field. And from the locker room to the tunnel to the field, we have your all-access pass to your favorite players warming up at the link. If you don't stick around to find out what's going on just before the game, you'll miss everything.
Monday night.
My first time playing on Monday night.
Monday night, you're just, I would say, extremely excited.
Can you feel what's about to happen on this field, man?
Makes you feel like a little kid going to the playground where you have the playground all to yourself.
Are you ready? Yeah!
Everybody's gonna be watching.
I know I'm gonna be very emotional.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
It's just you and the football. It's gonna be tears that I'm not gonna be able to control because not butterflies, but just the anticipation.
I will be that gladiator walking into that arena, which will be Lincoln Field.
What are you gonna do?
Philadelphia, gritty, blue collar, passionate about their sports. Once these fans adopt you, I mean, it's for life. You become as much a part of the city as Ben Franklin or the Liberty Bell and Geno's and Pat's cheesesteaks. From 60-Minute Man Chuck Bednarik To the Sixers' Dr. J, to the Phillies' Mike Schmidt, and now to the latest Philadelphia superhero, Eagles safety Brian Dawkins, whose hard-hitting, relentless style is a reflection of an inspiration out of this world.
Wolverine is strong. Wolverine is fast. Wolverine is ferocious. So am I. The reason why I became a fan of Wolverine is he never stops. His motor is always going. I kind of try to emulate myself out there.
I think Brian Dawkins fits the image of Wolverine in so many ways. His tenacity, his aggressiveness. Like Wolverine, I think he's very adept at cutting people down and cutting them down to size.
I am Weapon X. Weapon X is the persona, if you will, that I take upon when I step on the football field. I'm so excited, so anxious to do something on that doggone football field.
It's bloody terror, baby!
But when I finally really crossed the threshold to the tunnel to go out, is when that switch is completely clicked.
Even when he comes out the tunnel, he thinks that he's a Marvel comic hero.
You see a lot of uncharacteristic things from him, you know, the jumping up and down, the flexing of the muscles.
If I feel like dancing, I'ma dance. If I feel like celebrating after a hit, I'ma celebrate.
Weapon X has a locker in the locker room also, too, right beside Brian Dawkins.
You would think it's a comic book store.
Fans send me stuff like this. Well, they actually draw stuff and send it in to me. This one here, that would be my favorite one right there. It's like an animal instinct, you know, just he's changing it to something just completely different than himself. As Weapon X, whatever it takes to do, that I need to do on the football field to get a job done is what I'm gonna do.
Now there's the real-life Wolverine, 32 career picks. You see Brian Dawkins getting ready for the Eagles home opener. But now to the Eagles superhero on the other side of the ball. That'll be Donovan McNabb, who makes his 100th career regular season start tonight, 65-34. I mean, you can't ask much more than that. But yet there's a love, there's certain, and not hate, but there's a love and almost relationship with the Philly fans. Why do you think that is, Keith, with Donovan?
I think it goes back way back to 1999 when they first took Donovan McNabb in the draft. They never really warmed up to this guy. He's won a lot of games in the division. He's done a lot of things for the city. He even took them to the Super Bowl. But he has yet to do what Mike Schmidt did for them, win the world championship like Schmidt did in baseball. Philadelphia fans remember how you treated Mike, and this is the same way I think they're treating Donovan McNabb.
I just think that they're a different crowd, and you have to be there. I haven't been there, you know, for a long time as a player.
Well,
but even as
Emmett's hearing it now,
I'm just
right?
telling you, Emmett's hearing it now, even as an analyst. You know, passion versus anger, disappointment versus the disgust that they can have, not only for the opposing team, but for their own team as well, if they are not playing well. And Donovan McNabb represents the leader of that team. And when they are disappointed, it just turns into this fury and this anger, and you just have to learn to live with it.
I'll tell you what, Tom. I love scrapple. I love snapper soup. I love cheesesteaks. I love Tasty K's. And I love Philadelphia.
You planning on going there, aren't you?
Wow.
He planning on going.
Now, you went in as a Giant coach.
Didn't live too far from there.
I know that.
They won my respect.
You know what Donovan has told me? He said, look, the thing you got to know about playing quarterback or being a big-time sports figure in this town is we win, we lose, they're not going anywhere, those fans. They go nowhere. So you might as well learn to go with it, right?
Boom,
I mean, that's part of it.
Boom. He's third in Eagles history, and he's throwing the ball and 11th running the ball.
Do they like Jaws?
Yeah, they love Jaws.
I don't know. I'm new at this.
They love Jaws. You know who else they love? A guy with our 2020. You know who they, because he's a native Philadelphia. Sal. Sal, the president of Shamrock Meats, Sal Palantonio. Sal.
Hey, Boomer, there is definitely a sense of urgency in this town, even though they're only 0-1. After losing to the Packers last week, this Eagles team became a big, fat mystery. 3.5 hours from now, a lot of questions will be answered in this town about this team. If they win, a renewed sense of hope. If they lose, however, Ed Werder, everybody around here will be pushing the panic button.
Well, Sal, Redskins quarterback Jason Campbell told me his team must early in the game establish their identity on offense as a power running team. Joe Gibbs says that works because they're a two-back team, because Clinton Portis has suppressed his ego and been willing to share the carries evenly with Liddell Betts, one of his best friends. Gibbs says this is necessary because Portis has become the hardest working player without the ball that he has ever coached in his career. His blocking, his route running, and so that has made all the difference. And a quick injury update, Stu. Fred Smoot, the cornerback, out tonight with a hamstring injury. David Macklin takes his place.
All right, Ed, it's entertainment time. All hands on deck, everybody a part of Field Pass. The biggest players, biggest keys to the game, what you got to know before you check out the game. Steve Young, Donovan, a 5-time Pro Bowler. After that Week 1 loss, what does he personally have to do so this thing isn't even close?
He has to adjust to a new reality. He's never been hurt before in this way where he is not fully recovered. And so when he gets in the pocket, he needs to focus on delivering the football. That's what he's paid to do. He can't rush around. He can't be skittish. He can't be looking at the rush. He can't be getting off the receivers too early. He needs to settle in and really dominate this game with his mind because his legs aren't quite there yet.
All right, Emmett, Clinton Portis, I know you never shared any time really in Dallas, but how does sharing time with Liddell Betts affect you as a runner?
You know, with Clinton Portis sharing time with Liddell Betts, I think it's important for both of them to get off to a good start tonight because the Redskins are going to need them. These are the two guys that's going to take a lot of pressure off of off of the quarterback, Jason. And so at the end of the day, when you look at Clinton Portis, this guy here rushed for 127 yards last year, 523 yards on the ground, 7 touchdowns, 127 carries, and 8 games. He missed half of the season because he was injured. So I'm expecting Clinton to come out tonight and have a big night against the Eagles.
You don't even want to say it, do you?
I don't, because I'm going to get cussed out over by these fans over here.
Well, there's Brian Westbrook, who's certainly one of the Eagle favorites. He can do it all. He can run it. He can catch it. He doesn't mind blocking. He's tough to keep track of, right, Bill?
That's a mid-sized version there of Marshall Faulk. And I'll tell you, Chris, of all the players in the NFC East last year, I worried about that player more than any other single player.
You told me you got to know him well. Why? Because he kept...
He kept running up and back and forth in front of me on the sideline.
Well, a guy that we're getting to know a little bit is young Jason Campbell. And, it's scary. Whereas the number that Doug Williams wore, certainly when they won a Super Bowl with the Washington Redskins. And maybe, Tom, Joe Gibbs has cut back playbook a little bit to give Jason a better chance.
Well, I think he's done that. He's also given him the benefit of that double-headed running game that they have. He's got a strong arm. He is poised. I think the only thing that he needs is experience on the field, improved touch and accuracy. We always talk about completion percentage, but, Joe Gibbs has been a pretty good evaluator of quarterbacks in his past, so you would think that this guy, as he gets experience, will certainly become a good quarterback in this league.
Well, a guy, Tom, who's trying to disrupt young Campbell tonight would be the Pro Bowl safety of the Eagles. That'd be Brian Dawkins, who certainly doesn't mind Keyshawn laying a lick.
Yeah, that's true. And, this guy's been around for a very long time, and he's still trying to win his first Super Bowl ring. If he plays like that Super Bowl hero tonight or throughout the entire season, the Philadelphia Eagles have a chance of advancing into the playoffs and even further than that. He's a leader on that defense, and we've seen that defense in the past just tremendous, and he can do that job well tonight. They're going to go and win this game.
From one safety to another, hey, Steve Young, Sean Taylor can hit with anybody. He's also a bit of a freelancer. How can he be in control with intensity?
I think what he's got this year is LaRon Landry's come in as a rookie who's going to play that 5th linebacker. You come to 2 backs in the backfield, the Eagles do. They're going to have LaRon Landry down on the line of scrimmage, and Sean Taylor can now play free safety. He can roam the whole field. And what the Eagles will try to do is get him to suck up on play action and throw behind him and get him to be over-aggressive. But you got 2 of the best safeties, young safety in LaRon Landry and Sean Taylor in the league.
All right, Steve, Javon Curse, we all saw what he did as a young man at Tennessee, but with the Eagles, due to injuries, Tom, he's rarely been able to flash that almost superhuman form.
Well, you know, when he came into the league, he was known as the freak, Boom, and it was all about the speed and the first step rush and his ability to run. And as you play this game and you go through the years, I always say you age in dog years. You know, that's what's happened to Javon Curse. He slowed down some by his own admittance, and I've always thought that he would benefit from a second move off that speed rush. Now, right now, I think as you slow down, you've got to do that. You've got to find something off that speed rush, and he better do it now.
Javon, first I look at the Curse. Jay Giles Band. Just minutes to go before kickoff of the nation's first capital, Philadelphia. Our picks are coming up. Then Monday Night Football.
City of Philly. It's the sound of Philadelphia. Come along with me. Hear my city speak. It's talking to you. It's giving you a heads up.
Fight, scratch, punch, kick, tackle, pass, run. Get that team, baby. Get back on track. I can't think of a better stage to do it than tonight, baby. Dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dominate.
William Thomas firing up the Eagles. And there's those that got the game right last week. And then there's a good list that didn't get the game. Our first game right last week. Some of us had Cincy, some of us had Baltimore. All right, there's our lead. We got a long way to go. What do we like tonight, Tom?
I like the Washington Redskins. I think that Coach Gibbs has finally put a team in place that's his team, that he likes. Going to be hard to beat. Washington Redskins. Coach?
I'm going to take the Palantonios tonight at home, okay? Since he's down there as the 12th man, I believe I'll take the Eagles at home. Key?
I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles and their crazy fans.
That's a good pick. I like that.
I see it tonight, 27-16 Philadelphia. They got a young receiver, Jason. You can't always get what you want. I like him going deep against the safeties. That's just a guess. Steve, back to the stadium. Who do you like?
That was bad.
Yeah, I get a feeling that the Eagles know that this is a little bit of a risky spot for them, and they smell blood in the division. I say the Eagles have. They always do in the regular season, come out and play great football. They're going to win tonight.
I say the Eagles will win tonight also. I'm going with defense with Brian Dawkins and Wolverine. I'm also going with Brian Westbrook having a big night tonight.
Donovan coming off an injury. The Eagles drafted a QB. Donovan's got a boulder, not a chip, but a boulder on his shoulder. The 5-time Pro Bowler has something to prove. TJ, you're by yourself. I'm saying Eagles.
Well, I tell you what, Tom, you're all on the Eagles. Now, this is new now. I know we're getting close to election day. We're going to look at the states, the red and the blue states. Always keep your eye on Iowa and New Hampshire in these things. But even they, all our states. Hey, McGovern won one, guys. All 50 states look like they're polling for.
Oh, that's it?
There it is. Even Hawaii, Tom. There it is.
Put the District of Columbia on there.
But you know what? I know. You know what island you're on for this? Guam. They went with the Redskins. Guam.
Everybody.
If you win this game.
That was it. The whole country.
If you win this game, though, you're going to run for some political office because you're going to look like a genius.
Mm-hmm. Running the ball against Philly, I mean, could be done, right?
Yeah, sure.
Donovan McNabb, big game tonight. What do you think? I think a big game.
You better have.
I think he'll show up in his stadium. It's his stadium.
I think a big game tonight. We will see you at halftime. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Monday Night Countdown for our cast of thousands. I'm Chris Berman. A crisp, cool night in Philly. See you green inside the lake. Monday Night Football. New Orleans, the Superdome. Exactly 1 year ago, the site of a game none of us will soon forget. Tonight, a battle of sophomore sensations. Next on ESPN's Monday Night Football.
I just can't get New Orleans off my mind. Fun dancing and music all the time.
That's all their stuff, boy.
So if you don't
Monday Night Countdown is delivered by UPS.
New Orleans, 2 years later, a city still healing from Hurricane Katrina. Tonight, the Superdome will be revved up to watch a battle of two of the game's most electric players. And that would be Reggie Bush from the New Orleans Saints, NFC finalist a year ago. Can he help the team get going in their home opener? And all he does is win. Vince Young, quarterback, Tennessee Titans, finished 6-1 a year ago, almost made the playoffs after an 0-5 start. They're in the spotlight tonight in New Orleans. And welcome everybody to Monday Night Countdown as we go marching toward the 1-1 Titans and the surprising 0-2 New Orleans Saints. Are you ready for the first fall Monday night game? Of course you are. Hi everybody. This is Boomer with me, Sean. The Tuna. Stonewall Jackson.
College nickname.
Me, Sean.
Mort. And a cast of thousands. You'll have to figure out what our names say under our chin a little bit later on. This is only a test. Well, we're going to have some fun tonight. We have music of the Foo Fighters later on in the show. And New Orleans, such a city of music, we'll have plenty of references in the show. Let's start with Sunday, though, before we go to tonight's game. What stood out above everything else for you?
I think when you look at the first 2 weeks in the National Football League, you have to say the New England Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys are the two best teams in the National Football League. And the reason I say this is I look at the Indianapolis Colts and how close that game against the Houston Texans looked. To think that they're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys, I don't think so. And to think that they're going to beat the New England Patriots, I don't think so. So at the end of the day, I think those two teams.
Key, the National Football League has made an effort to have parity throughout the league. But they forgot to tell the Colts, the Pats, and the Steelers, who won the last four Super Bowls, and certainly look like a favorite to win the next Super Bowl.
You know, fellas, Tuesday's payday in the National Football League. Now, after watching John Kitna get a concussion last week and get sacked 9 times this week, I think he ought to get 2 checks, one for playing and the other one for combat pay.
Who's his coach?
Well, the head
Mike Martz. His head coach, Mike Martz.
He's not. Marinelli is. Here's what I would say, and it involves that game.
Killed.
Reports of the demise of the Philadelphia Eagles have been grossly exaggerated. They look fine. Not sure about the colors they wore, but they look fine. And in a few weeks, reports of the demise of the Chargers will be saying the same thing. They'll be okay. With more on tonight's game, though, let's check in with our crew, all jazzed up to be in New Orleans, and Stuart Scott. Stu, how are you?
Hey, Boom, what's going on? You know, it was almost 2 years ago in the BCS title game that Vince Young in Texas ended Reggie Bush and USC's 34-game winning streak. Now it is Reggie Bush who is 0-2. I'm with a couple of guys. We always talk about you all's, accomplishments. You started 0-2 5 times in your career, and I ain't going to mention about somebody who started 0-9 his first year ever. I ain't going to say nothing about that.
I won a game in that year? Hey, by the way, Bill Parcells holding everyone's check till Tuesday, taking the interest for a day. Monday's payday in the NFL, coach.
These Saints, we talk about them being 0-2. They're 0-3 dating back to the NFC title game last year. Kind of feel like SportsCenter right now. Are they pretenders or contenders?
Oh, there's no question they're contenders. They've got a
At 0-2?
They're a talented football team, and I'm telling you, they're well coached. I think they're immature. They're expected to go to the Super Bowl or knock on the door. They thought at the end of the year, we're championship game, now next year Super Bowl. They spent the offseason, I think, kind of reading about their laurels rather than going to work. You saw the Patriots double down with their work ethic. You saw the Colts double down with their work ethic. I think it's the same problem they're having with the Chargers right now. I think this actually is a positive. As long as they win tonight, this is a positive. It's a wake-up call. It's a nice punch to the chops to make sure that you know that the rest of the league is not going to let you waltz to the championship. That's the way I see it.
Steve,
count it down. That's the way I see it.
It's 2 weeks into the season, and you talking about a wake-up call?
Wake-up call.
Wake up,
because they're immature.
Wake up, New Orleans. You have to play football. You have to get back to the basics if you want to get in the Super Bowl or into the playoff this year. You have to start running Deuce McAllister. You have to find a balance between Deuce and Reggie. If you don't find that balance and establish the run game, it's going to be very hard to get back into the playoff.
These Saints, I mentioned they're 0-3 their last 2. They've been outscored 111-38 in those 3 games.
No defense.
And Susie Colbert from the Monday Night Football sidelines. Susie, this is a Saints team that, in terms of yards, was the #1 offense in the league last year. What's their mindset tonight for this game?
Well, Stuart, it's no secret that they've struggled on offense, defense, and special teams. But most glaring on defense has been giving up those big plays, 11 plays of 24 yards or more, 5 for touchdowns in just 2 games. But that's not all on the defensive backs. Linebacker Scott Fujita said we've got to get pressure on the quarterback and really get in his face. And that's going to be tough tonight against Vince Young. But defensive end Will Smith feels they do have the right game plan. It starts with containment, and he points out they've been pretty successful against Michael Vick the last 3 years. You know, a mobile quarterback. But of course, big difference between Vince Young and Michael Vick. Vince Young is so big and strong. He said, you can't afford to arm tackle him. That won't work. You've got to pull his whole body down to the ground. More on the Titans. Let's go over to Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Susie, when our Monday Night Football crew met with Vince Young last night, the quarterback said he was nervous about his Monday night debut, but then he said, nervous is good. I play better when I'm nervous. And the Titans may actually be a little bit nervous about their punting situation as well. 2-time Pro Bowler Craig Hentrick, one of the most valuable field position weapons in the NFL, is out with a back injury. So on Saturday, the Titans signed Josh Miller, the former Patriot, former Steeler. They like Josh Miller's punting abilities, but they also said they signed him because he's a solid holder. And Jeff Fisher actually said, we're going to miss Craig Hentrick's holding. And Stu, it may seem like a little thing, but sometimes it's something as small as holding or field position or a punt that can win or lose you a football game.
Tell you what won't win or lose you a football game, Michelle, being NFL Man of the Year. Drew Brees, the co-defending Man of the Year. Good for the resume, but when you're 0-2, it don't matter a whole lot. Drew Brees got some work to do tonight with the New Orleans Saints here in the Crescent City. Still to come on Monday Night Countdown, Reggie Bush, maybe the focal point for the Saints, but would fewer touches lead to more wins? Question being hotly debated here. Also, if you could do it all over again, would you draft Drew Brees, Vince before Reggie? And the NFC winds of change blew through the Windy City after their Chicago smackdown of the Cowboys, now the team to beat.
Down, delivered by UPS. What can Brown do for you? And in part by Infinity, who use the power of design to create dynamic, beautiful automobiles. And KFC's new $2.99 deals. A real deal for lunch for just $2.99. Only at KFC.
Welcome back to Monday Night Countdown. Boy, what a show in Chicago against the NFC champion Bears. Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys put on last night. 3-3 in the third quarter. This drive almost went the length of the field. Jason Witten, a touchdown, 10-3. Bears come back to tie it up at 10. And then again in the shadow of his own goalpost, Romo to the player, Terrell Owens, and he's across the middle, gets a block there from Hurd, and he goes 35 yards to the Cowboys' 40, and later on in the drive, it's a swing to Marion Barber. And watch this here. It's a whoop, whoop. And what? These are the Bears? 17-10. Now after another field goal, 20-10, Rex Grossman. Pickett thrown into a bunch of Cowboys. Anthony Henry, couple of picks, and this the big one, gone. 28 yards, a 31-point second half for Dallas. The Cowboys crushed the Bears last night, 34-10. So we went from 10 to 5 undefeated teams in football, 2 of them in the NFC. One would be Green Bay, one would be Dallas. Very impressive no matter how you look at it for the Cowboys. You built the Cowboys, Bill, or you had a hand in doing it. What do you see with this team?
Hey, that was a great win for them, no doubt. One of the best they've had in many years. They've got blockers, they got a thrower, they've got catchers, they've got runners, they've got good kickers. People underestimate that. And last night, they had some interceptors. And if they keep turning the ball over like that or creating turnovers, they're going to win a lot of games.
And they just beat the defending NFC champions. And what I want to ask is this. If they're the best team in the NFC, and they certainly look that way to me, who is the second best team in that conference?
Seattle, maybe?
Well, Green Bay's 3-0.
And how far away are they from the
Philly?
Dallas Cowboys? I would say it's some distance between number 1 and whoever is number 2.
And I agree with you both on the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, but, you know, you think about it. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears for a minute. you know, they have a chance to still win this division, a chance to get into the playoffs. But there's a couple things that they need to do. They need to get better defensively in the secondary. The front seven plays well. Losing Brown hurts them. Archuleta's nothing more than a linebacker playing safety. And at the end of the day, for the life of me, Lovie Smith, please stop sticking with Grossman. Just stop. Because if you want to get somewhere, and you know better than I do as a football coach, he's not doing a very good job right now. And he's not helping your team.
You know what, on Chicago for a moment, this defense, and Tom, how many times have you and I sat together and watched these games? They're asked to do so much.
Too much.
To hold the other team down. Maybe we'll get a punt return. Maybe we'll score. Just hold things because it's a short field with the turnovers. Now, last night it was too much. They give up 31 points against the hot offense, including 2 length of the field drives. Harris hurt again, an MRI on the same knee that he hurt. Vasher left the game. Briggs. If they have some key injuries to this defense, now I'm concerned because that's authoritative. But let's get back to the Cowboys, who won the game. What type of team would play toe-to-toe or would have a chance to beat Dallas the way they're playing now, Bill?
I don't know toe-to-toe, but you're going to have to score a lot of points to beat Dallas. So I would look for a team with veteran quarterback, McNabb, maybe Hasselbeck, Favre, a guy that's capable of putting that kind of point total up before you're going to have a chance. I don't think you're going to beat them being methodical right now. I think you're going to have to score a lot of points to beat the Cowboys.
They don't play Philly for a while. They got New England in week 6. People kind of overlook that.
Well, they got Philly twice.
Yes,
now,
later on. No, there's games, whatever uniform color Philly chooses on. Well, you addressed it a little bit, Key. Certainly everybody's addressing it. We bring Chris Mortensen in now, and more to another rough evening for Rex Grossman. So what's the latest from Chicago? Lovie Smith after the game saying Rex is our quarterback, which we've heard before. Anything new on this?
Well, he also said we're going to review the videotape and then kind of go from there. Well, they reviewed the videotape today, and what they saw was bad Rex. Obviously, when Rex Grossman makes mistakes, he makes big mistakes. That's unacceptable to the coaching staff. But they also saw that a lot of guys on offense didn't play well. The first interception wasn't his fault. Bad route by the receiver. So they're going to go ahead and discuss it more tonight. Make a decision, I think, by Tuesday. We'll find out on Wednesday whether they go to veteran Brian Greasy. They still like Kyle Orton, who's the third-string quarterback, because Grossman, if he is benched, has likely played his last game as a Bear, and Orton would be the young guy they develop while Greasy takes over here. And then we also, in Arizona, we also have a little bit of a quarterback controversy, not to this extent, but Ken Wisenhunt, the coach of the Cardinals, actually benched Matt Leinart yesterday, had him on the sidelines, and at first it was by plan because Kurt Warner was given a package of no huddle, up-tempo, because Matt Leinart can't quite process things as quickly as Kurt Warner. But there's other things going on with Leinart in which he's picked up some bad habits he can't shake, doing some things that he thought that he did in college he can't do in the NFL. And so this combo of Matt Leinart and Kurt Warner is not going away, Chris. In fact, I believe it's going to be there for pretty much the rest of the season, even though Leinart technically remains the starter.
Well, we know Warner is rested, and so that is a knock. When he comes in, we've seen him do these 3, 4, 5 weeks, and he's sharp. How long could he go? And we'll see how that goes with Ken Wisenhunt playing their old team last week, the Pittsburgh Steelers. That'll be interesting later on Mort. We'll visit with you in the show. We appreciate it as always. Well, tonight, of course, we are visiting with the New Orleans Saints and the Tennessee Titans. And there's a visit of a couple of USC Trojans, Reggie Bush, Lendale White, national champions together out of the backfield. A big guy, a little guy. Who'll stand taller tonight? We shall find out. And still to come on Monday Night Countdown. Young on Young by Hall of Famer Steve. He's so impressed with Pro Bowler Vince. We'll be back.
Welcome back to Monday Night Countdown, delivered by UPS.
Vince Young! He can't be stopped! Touchdown, Titans! Yeah, he did! Unbelievable! He's the fastest guy on the field!
The Foo Fighters, they redid David Bowie's We Can Be Heroes, didn't they? Well, Vince Young has been a hero. He throws, he runs, he leads them to win. With more on the Titans, let's head back down to New Orleans and check in with Rachel Nichols for this Teams at 20 report. Rachel made it from Austin Straubel Field in Green Bay all the way to New Orleans. Hi, Rachel.
Go down the walk ramp. Hey, Boomer. Well, Vince Young is only 24 years old, but he's already showing the Titans how much he's growing as a leader. Now, during this summer, he flew his receivers down to Houston just to work on their rapport. He even fed them some of his mom's cooking. And then when the rest of his teammates got to training camp this summer, well, we'll let him read to you the letter he left in each of their lockers.
Here we go. I'm guessing you are feeling the same excitement that I am about getting this season on the way. I want to build on the success that we had last season.
Pushing each other on a daily basis to get better and
Holding each other accountable for work required to reach the next level.
People outside this building may doubt us, but I believe
in this team. My teammates expect nothing less than a championship. Let's get ready to work and have some fun in the process of doing it.
Now, Young has had some setbacks. Coach Jeff Fisher had to suspend him for one preseason game because he skipped out on the team hotel, decided to sleep in his own bed instead. But still, guys like 14-year veteran Kevin Mawae says he has never gotten a letter like the one that Vince Young left in his locker. And they say he is a player, but he is also a leader. Now, let's bring in Steve Young. Steve, what has Vince Young showed you, and how has your opinion of him changed in this last year?
Well, Rachel, I think almost everything is better than I thought. He's bigger than I thought. He's faster than I thought. He's more accurate than I thought with throwing the football. But the biggest thing is his leadership. What you just mentioned, I call it leadership moxie, the things that quarterbacks in the NFL have to be successful. It's a maturity, a guile, kind of a savviness that I think all the great ones have. And as a young player, he has it in spades. It's going to be fun to watch him grow. And when I talk about leadership or immaturity or maturity, I know, Keyshawn, you know a lot about that.
All right, great Steve Young. Anyway, I had the opportunity of going down to Tennessee this offseason and sitting in with Coach Child, the offensive coordinator, and Jeff Fisher. That's when I was trying to make the decision of whether or not I wanted to play. And the thing that stood out to me most about Vince Young is his leadership, the things that he was able to do on the football field, and watching him as a quarterback position and saying to myself, is this a guy that I want to continue my career with, or is it someone that isn't going to learn the quarterback position because of some of the things that happen in the off-the-field incidents and things like that? And then now that I look at him and looking at the film from last year versus this year, two totally different people, two totally different players. I didn't realize the type of athlete that he is today until I watched against the Indianapolis Colts. And now I'm saying to everybody at ESPN, I might have to go reconsider
going back to football. You go all the way back to his career at Texas and now into the pros. He wins games. There's nothing more important. When you hear his coaches and his teammates talk about him, they talk about what a great leader he is, but they expect him to make the plays to win. He's won 7 of his last 9. He lost to the Pats. He lost to the Colts. There's a lot of teams that would take that and ride it.
Well, what happens to young players or players coming out in the draft, if they have a characteristic that is regarded as a little bit of a deviation from the classic style that the normal quarterback has, and Vince Young had that. He threw the ball a little low. It was a little held it a little low. So, oh, look at his delivery. It's this, it's that. People and scouts get very suspicious of things like that. So you always have questions. They're looking to just cover themselves. Oh, well, he's a good athlete, good quarterback, but he does this. Here's what quarterback's about. Do you get your team in the end zone enough to win? And this guy is doing that.
You know a way he can do it, and this is being talking with Coach Fisher before the season started. He said, especially when he learns a little bit more, remember, you know, it doesn't have that many starts under his belt, that he can run a 2-minute offense, not with 2 minutes to go in the half or in the, just let's run a hurry up and then get back to a regular thing for a while. And boy, that does put a lot of pressure on another team. So that's something, maybe, I don't know if we'll see that tonight in particular, but that's something that he can do. Sky's the limit there. Up next, Coach Ditka and Coach Parcells in this week's Boiling Point. Rex Grossman, hey, is it time for a change? And should the Saints cut back on Reggie Bush? Emmett has advice for the New Orleans struggling offense. Titans Saints, Monday Night Football.
decision on Rex Grossman? Clearly, he's at a crossroads with Grossman. What would you do?
Well, he's going to make that decision. He made that very clear. You'll know more about it on Wednesday. Now, he stayed with Rex. He says, poured them all through. Now, last year when he said Rex Grossman, my quarterback, they're 10-2. Now, they're 1-2. A lot of difference. All I'm saying is you got to take into consideration the other 52 guys on that football team because there's a lot of finger pointing going on right now. What he's got to do, he's got to pull the plug and go with Greasy. But he knows what he has, believe me.
I'm with Mike. I think that last year the guy got the benefit of the doubt most of the time. This year I thought that they'd be less tolerant. Right now they're only scoring 10, 11 points a game. That's not going to win very many games from the looks of it. And they certainly don't look like they're going to be the favorite in their division right now based on what Green Bay's doing. So something's got to change. Their defense has been pretty good over the years, although they didn't play good last night.
So is it tougher for, like Rex was a first rounder and they had to find out of it. Tougher on him or Tony Romo who comes in undrafted and now Tony Romo's got the world by the tail.
Well, Tony Romo sat for 3 years here now. Tony Romo got the benefit of 3 years of watching and a half a year